the story of the Losers Club isn't over yet. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 things we want to see in It Chapter 2.
For suburban city of Derry, that's my shirt, that's my hair, that's my face.
Calm down,
that's
this
my
isn't
name,
real.
That's my age, that's the date.
Can't be real, Richie.
No, it says.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're looking at the second chapter of the new adaptation of Stephen King's legendary novel and pinpointing some key elements we'd like to see brought to life on the big screen.
I'll take all of you, and I'll feast on your flesh as I feed on your fear.
Number 10. More forms for It. Don't get us wrong, Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise is plenty scary, but the alternate forms taken on by this sinister force of evil add a nice bit of diversity to the fear we get to experience, like that terrifying painting. In the sequel, we'd love to see the filmmakers explore even more unsettling disguises. In the novel and miniseries, it eventually takes the form of a giant monstrous spider. While this creature, as it appeared in 1990, looks a little silly nowadays, one can't help but wonder how it would translate using modern visual effects. We want to see it pull out all the stops when the Losers Club returns as adults. Number 9. More accurate representation of its true form.
Hey, Henry?
Speaking of the forms that it takes while tormenting the residents of Derry, we'd like to see the new film take a stab at showing its true form, the otherworldly deadlights. Like any good cosmic horror, this true form is hard to describe and even harder to witness without going either insane or comatose. The first installment in this new adaptation gave us a glimpse of this eldritch horror's true shape, but crazy as it might sound, we want to get a good look at it in all its horror. Madness be damned. Aren't you just a little bit curious too? Number 8. More insight into Henry Bowers. Henry Bowers, Derry's resident bully cum sociopath, certainly made an impression in the first film, but his role is far from over. In the novel and miniseries, Bowers later returns as an agent of Pennywise, a kind of Renfield to his Dracula, if you will. Obviously, we would love to see this play out in part 2, but in addition to that, we'd also like to see further exploration of Henry's backstory and motives. Is he really just a run-of-the-mill small-town bully? Or is there more to this violent young man than meets the eye? A little more insight into this character's psyche would make for a welcome addition to the narrative.
Ain't nothing like a little fear to make a paper man crumble.
Number 7. Practical effects. The first movie in the series walked an almost perfect line when it came to mixing computer-generated effects with tried-and-true practical costumes and creatures. And we want to see this continue. The argument against CGI has been made time and time again, but we'll say it once more for the cheap seats in the back. A well-conceived and executed practical effect is infinitely more memorable than one achieved with CGI. We want to see the next chapter of this horror saga push the envelope even further in its effects work, using CGI to augment but never supplant the horrors brought to the screen using practical special effects work.
Beep, beep, Richie.
Number 6. A big climactic final battle with It.
Beverly, no!
Mike!
When a film reaches its inevitable climax, it's go big or go home. And in this sequel, we want to see the Losers Club and their arch nemesis go toe-to-toe in epic fashion. After 2 films worth of build-up, the final confrontation needs to be a real showstopper. The filmmakers working behind the camera can make that happen. The finale has to be grandiose, suspenseful, and more importantly, scary. This is a tall order, we know, but based on the first film, we're confident they can pull it off. A big screen adaptation of a novel this iconic deserves nothing less.
She wasn't afraid. And we aren't either.
Number 5. A cast of unknowns. Ever since the first chapter hit theaters, fans and cast members alike have been weighing in on who should play the Losers Club as adults. A lot of big names have been thrown around, including Chris Pratt for an adult Ben and Jessica Chastain taking over as Beverly from Sophia Lillis. As much as we can appreciate these suggestions, there is an argument to be made for having an adult losers club played by relative unknowns. Honestly, it would just be too distracting to watch Pennywise trying to scare Star-Lord.
Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things will get brighter.
For cinema-goers who truly suspend their disbelief and lose themselves to the fear, the central characters should come without the baggage of recognizable faces.
I'm sorry, who invited Molly Ringwald into the group?
Number 4. The child actors from Part 1.
Yeah, home school. Welcome to the Losers Club.
Actor W.C. Fields famously said, "Never work with animals or children," but it's a pretty safe bet that he never saw the first chapter of It. The performances delivered by these young leads, including Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things and breakout star Sophia Lillis, who played Beverly Marsh, proved to be one of the major talking points when the film was released. Though the success of 2017's It was the combination of many factors, things could have gone very differently had the cast not been up to the task. Thankfully, they were, and we'd love to see them return in some capacity in the sequel, most likely in flashbacks.
I saw us, all of us, together back in the cistern. But we were older. Our parents' ages.
Number 3. Maturin the Turtle. Stephen King's literary universe runs deep and is full of strange and otherworldly entities. One of these, and one that Pennywise considers an enemy, is this massive sentient turtle. The creature is said to be older than the universe itself, and has been credited with birthing the universe by vomiting it up. Hey, you can't accuse King of not being creative. In the novel, this entity briefly contacts Bill to lend advice on defeating Pennywise. Though the inclusion of Maturin might be a hard sell for some cinema-goers, should the sequel choose to go all in on the novel's elements of Lovecraftian cosmic horror, this turtle would make for a bold addition.
Right here.
It's a turtle.
Number 2. An even scarier Pennywise.
Oh, well, I'm Pennywise the dancing clown.
As we mentioned earlier, it's hard to get much scarier than the film's titular clown, but nevertheless, the sequel will need to up the ante. Grown-ups are harder to frighten than children, so in facing off against an adult losers club, Pennywise is gonna need to bring his A-game. For our money, we'd love to see this translate into less reliance on jump scares. The first film delivered plenty of frights, but many leaned on shock value. In the sequel, we want more creeping, inescapable dread and psychological horror thrown into the mix. Pull this off while maintaining quality, and you've got an even scarier dancing clown.
This isn't real enough for you, Billy. I'm not real enough for you.
Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
Hi, Georgie. Aren't you going to say hello?
See my fortune now. You're gonna be eaten by a big greasy monster. Have a nice day.
Number 1. It's Cosmic Origins. We've talked a lot about cosmic horror, and the more out-there elements of King's original novel, and this is a continuation of that. The novel features a lot more information about its true nature, with some chapters even narrated by the entity itself. Some would say the creature's scarier the less you know about it, but we want to see the sequel embrace these elements by shedding more light, deadlights perhaps, on the true nature of the beast that haunts the children of Derry. Few movies have really pulled off cosmic horror, and we want to see the sequel break through this cinematic barrier.
And you will all live to grow and thrive and lead happy lives until old age take you back to the weeds.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.